Okay. This is my first R&R Thursday, which would be Reiki and Readings. And just explain, because I've only done one other live before on here. Um, the readings part, like I do readings, I do pet readings separately, but with the R&R Thursday, the rest and relaxation, but the Reiki and readings is that typically when I'm doing a Reiki session on a pet or a person, it kind of turns into a reading, afterwards as it goes. That would be for a full-blown session, of course, but there's always something that creeps in. So because I am not a huge plan ahead girl, I did put out an announcement that I was going to be starting this, and I didn't really push it because today is just kind of oh my gosh, I'm doing it, and we're going to see what happens. Maybe a friend or two will show up with an animal of theirs. I'm not even quite sure how I'm going to do this with, hi Deanna, how I'll do this with anyone. You know what I mean? Like, I know how the live readings go, but I've not seen anyone do like a live pet reading where it's completely unplanned and, just however it goes. So I do have my laptop set up as well. I'm moderating for myself. I don't think really, I've got Deanna here and she doesn't have any pets, but she is a wonderful friend. So let me see. I was going to watch, I can't even see it coming up on my page. I don't understand how that happens. So in the meantime, okay, what's Reiki? And that's something that I hear quite often, and which I asked myself, of course, before I ever started doing it. And I think it's been 5 years or so. So Reiki everything is energy, and Reiki is healing energy. And it's just, it flows through the person. So me, the Reiki practitioner, whoever's doing it, we're not, hi, Michael, we're not the ones that are doing it. It's like water that runs through a hose, and we're the hose. So I'm the hose. Not really sure how I'm going to feel about having said that. But anyhow, so that's what happens. So I always get permission. I'm going to catch myself saying so too many times. You always get permission. Hi, Carrie. This is fun. You always ask permission before you send Reiki. And obviously when it's an animal, right, you think you can't ask them permission, but you can. And there's two ways to do it. So you would do it as though it were a child or maybe someone who's in a coma, let's say. You either ask the parent or the owner or whoever is the, closest person to the person in the coma. And, that's really not an uncommon request, but you can also just energetically connect with, especially if it's a wild animal or there's an animal out in the street, you don't know whose it is, just got hit by a car, something like that. So as long as you ask permission somehow, then that's what you need to do. And if it's not supposed to go to that person, place, thing, animal, all that kind of business, it won't. There's like a law of grace, and if it can't go to the place, person, where it is that you want it to go, then it's just going to move on through the universe and go where it needs to go. We also don't direct. We don't say, oh, okay, I'm going to send Reiki to your left kneecap. I mean, sure, you can say it, but it could be your heart that really needs it. And it doesn't necessarily mean your physical heart. It could be, your emotional, your metaphysical, your, I don't know. I don't know why I'm getting a little emotional talking about my heart. That was something a lot of people worked on. When I first started learning Reiki and we all would practice on each other, I was in the middle of a situation that made my heart hurt a little bit. And every single person, nobody knew me, but everyone who practiced on me would like stop right over my heart area. And the feeling that they had working on it and the feeling that I had being worked on, it's very peaceful most of the time. I got a little sad. I got a little teary. So did the person. They're not picking up anything from me. I don't pick things up from the people or the animals that I'm working on, but you can feel it. Sometimes having a Reiki session done is like having a deep tissue massage or that reflexology, where they're really digging in and they're getting your lymphatic system moving and all that. Sometimes you can feel unwell for a day or two afterwards because we're working with energy. So the energy is being moved. So if you've got blocks, mental blocks, if you're down, if you're depressed, if you're, ADD, ADHD, like that can block you up, all kinds of things like that. If you feel a lot of pressure, if you're fearful, fear is a massive block and fear shows up in so many different ways. but when you start, it makes things like clog up. So when you send Reiki, it starts moving that, the energy and busting up the blocks. And that can make you feel unwell, things as they start to shift and, when you disperse. I can't really think of the word I want to use for that one, as it exits your body. But it's not like you're running to the powder room. You're just, And I see, okay, so I've got texts coming in, and I don't know if I think I can pause and have a look, but I'm not sure if I should. Deanna, can you comment in here? Because I'm not seeing any, but I know that you just sent in a text message, and because it's on my phone, I'm afraid to go check, because I'm not really super tech savvy with this stuff. I can do it, but I don't know the ins and outs. And I guess I would say if anybody has any questions, and it's only been a few minutes. I'm nervous on my first one. I can just come up with some frequently asked questions. Reiki has no religious affiliation, right? It's just, like, let's say if a Christian offers to pray for you, you don't have to be whatever religion that they are. Prayer is prayer. And this is the same thing. So however you look at God, thank you. You have to say that. Anyway, there went my train of thought. Oh yeah, so you don't have to be affiliated with that person's faith if they're praying for you. Just like, again, Reiki has no religion. It's just energy. And we know everything's made up of energy. Everything is matter. Everything matters. But, so it just, it just does its job. You don't have to subscribe to anybody's train of thought, I guess is my thingy. And you don't have to have a specific one yourself if you're a Reiki practitioner. So that was my other frequently asked question. What else is there? I do not touch people's bodies when I'm doing it. Sometimes I will. It depends. If I know them really well, I'll just rest my hands. But because it's energy, you don't have to touch the person. There's no like massage. There's no pressure. There's none of that. There's no needles. It's not acupuncture. And remote or distance Reiki, which is what most people do. Well, especially since the whole pandemic happened, everything became distance, right? Everybody was doing remote work from whatever job that they had, their desk jobs and whatnot. And because this is energy, I do this mostly remote. And when I ask people that I've done it in person and I've done remote, they tend to feel it even more strong when it's distance Reiki, which surprised me, but it makes everything a lot easier. So it's global. I can take on anything, anywhere. I work on plants as well. Any animals, wild, domestic, owned or not. People, because if you're getting a Reiki session on your dog or what have you, and you're in the room and I'm sending Reiki, or, we're all in a room together, or it's distance, you're still going to get it. Kind of like a contact high. Not that I know what that is. But it's just there. It's always good. It does no harm, even more so than a doctor who they swear not to do any harm. Sometimes they do. Reiki does not do any harm. Again, it's like prayer, and I don't want to keep being redundant and going on about that. But if anybody has a pet and wants to come on or has a question, but the people who I know who are watching the live, they either are Reiki practitioners themselves, they don't have any questions, or they don't have any pets. And I heard a little thingy, but I'm not seeing anything else coming up except for Michael's comment. So I think we're good there. If I had a really great singing voice, I could entertain for a little bit, just keeping it going. I know I have friends that start these things and they're doing like tarot card readings and all that. So they'll just sit and shuffle their cards and have a conversation. I'm not doing cards. I don't have anything to shuffle. I'm trying to come up with stuff that I think would be relevant or important. You can send Reiki, okay, because we can do distance. Reiki can also span, time. So let's say I may have had a court date once for a speeding ticket or something, I don't know. But I was little, of course you get nervous because you never really know what's going to happen. But I sent Reiki to the situation ahead of time. You can also send it back in time to help heal things. You can't change what's happened, but you can help send energy to heal something that happened there so that the healing comes forward. So if you were hurt as a child or scared, you were left at school when you were 5 years old, nobody came to get you. You can, you carry that with you. You can send Reiki back to that situation. And as it slowly heals, the scars of it or the fears, it goes away from where you're at now. So this court thing. So I think it was maybe driving really fast on the highway. I don't know. I might have looked at my phone because my kid called. I don't remember, but I had to go and I was kind of nervous. And they had just changed the laws in Arizona where you can't do anything with your phone. And I didn't realize it. I don't get out much. So I sent Reiki ahead to the courtroom. I was really nervous. And when I got there, the judge that was scheduled wasn't there. And so there was some court clerk, whatever guy who, probably not a clerk, some justice of the peace or something. And he kept trying to call on me. There was no order. And he just kept trying to pick me to go first. And everybody else was like, oh yeah, me. Because they all wanted to get out of there. And I was all like, oh God. And I got up there. It was amazing. It was going to be hundreds of dollars. And he was really kind. And, we were just talking like we were old friends. And he said, okay, listen, I'm just going to scrap everything. Now, don't do it again. And I was thrilled. And I am convinced that because, I wasn't my bubbly self when I went in. It's not like I talked my way out of it like I've done in the past. But it was, I was a little nervous and there was a lot going on in my life. I was pretty apprehensive. So I'm quite sure that Reiki did it. Some other evidence that I have, that's happened along the time that I've been doing this. In the very beginning, I came home and I wanted to practice on my mare. And anyone who knows cowgirl, for one, she's a mare, right? She's got a uterus. But on top of that, she's just kind of not aloof, but she's her own girl. She doesn't want to be hugged and kissed and, all that fussy stuff. But she was getting up there in age, or she's even more up there in age now. But I decided to work on her knee. And again, this was all brand new to me. So I had my hands in front of her knee and behind her knee. And I'm sending Reiki. And she's all irritated and her ears are pinned back. And she was just completely irritated. And I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. And I've been working with animals my whole life. So I knew something was not sitting right with her. So I changed the placement of my hands. Now, if you're a vet tech, or a human, anyone in radiology, so AP, right? You're going straight through the knee, through the kneecap to the back. So I changed it because it is energy and there is, you can feel it. So I went lateral. I went on either side of her knee instead of busting right through. And as soon as I did it, she closed her eyes and, put her head down and just kind of settled in and leaned into that knee. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I just stood there doing it. It was fantastic. I mean, I think it was good for her as well because she got so relaxed. And then I was done and I stepped back and I had my hands over, well, they were down a little bit, but you can't see them unless I hold them up. And my mare, who was not touchy-feely, actually side passed over to me and sort of tried to position her knee in between my hands again. I have numerous examples like that with animals. So it blew my mind. I am woo-woo and I believe and I have a lot of faith, but I also am very skeptical. I have a very skeptical family and, I was raised to really question everything. So I've got that going on. So I need proof and that blew me away. I've had other instances, like I said, mostly with animals. And when you look at why it happens that way, for one, some people just don't want to tell you that something has worked. Some people are frightened. Some people don't understand it. Or, like if somebody, let's say someone has cancer and they don't know, they may not, depending on what type and, what's happening in the stages, they may not fall into it, really hard. They may not know that anything's that wrong. They might just have some symptoms, not understand. And I've known people who have gotten through it, never having known that they had like stomach cancer because no one in the family told them. It's a long time ago. But then there's other people at the moment they hear something's wrong, they're like, oh my gosh. And then they're so sick. And if you are in that fearful place, nothing's going to work, right? If you don't want to heal, if you're afraid to heal, if you're afraid to try healing, if you're afraid of failing at healing, things don't necessarily work. So when you're less aware, when you have less information in your head, or like animals are, they just don't know what you're doing, but it feels good and they trust you and they don't really know that there's anything wrong anyhow, the healing might be easier, might take place more quickly. Sometimes Reiki is a little too much energy for an animal, so I could be sending it or working on an animal in front of me and they're getting a little fidgety and they just can't be that close, which is another good reason for distance Reiki. And they have to walk away. And others, they just happen to know if they need it or how much or if they can handle it. So they'll take the Reiki that they want and then they just walk away. They're done. They're out of the room. And then there's other ones that just zonk right out and they're there for if I stayed, they stayed. My animals, my dogs tend to just haul right in when I'm doing Reiki online for someone else. In the past, any cats I've been around have skedaddled right the heck out of the room. I don't know why. Maybe because they're a little like me. I don't know. There's a lot going on with cats. They got a foot in both worlds. They're always thinking. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. And that's it. So I'm going to be mindful of the time. I've hit 15 minutes thereabouts, and I feel that that's about the longest anybody ever wants to watch, especially when it's somebody monologuing like this. But I will be doing this. Well, not this. Hopefully I'll be doing Reiki, but I will be getting up on here on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. For Arizona, half of the year we're on California, we're on PST, but Arizona does not change their clocks. Woo! Because we're the best. So half the time I'm California and half the time we're an hour and ahead. So East Coast is 3 hours ahead, but right now they're only 2 hours ahead because we are in that 6 months of, I don't know, whatever, 2 hour time. So I will see all of you and hopefully many more next week. It'll be on Thursday again, and I might push it a little more, advertise, set something up. I'm not really sure. But in the meantime, I would love it if you brought a pet. So if you're watching the replay, just know next Thursday's the 11th of January. Wow, 111. Bring your pet, any pet. If you have a barn, I don't care. I'm going to try and do it where I can pull somebody on, maybe. I was hoping to be able to do that. And then, if you've got a donkey, a potbelly pig, I don't care what it is. If there's a little quail out in your backyard that needs a little bit of help, some good juju, just take your phone, go out there, and we'll try and see if we can hook it up that way. Or you can mail me a picture of the animal that you want worked on. You could post it on my Reiki page. You can send it to email there. It doesn't really matter. I don't care how it gets to me. Just their name, their first name. Just their name and a photo. I don't need to know anything else. That's it. I don't want to know anything else. But, live animals, because we're not just doing straight readings, so I'm not going to do anything that has passed on. But let me know. We can do that for you. It'll be a whole lot of fun. And it'll make it, I think, a little easier if I know ahead of time. I don't know. I'm kind of good fly by the seat of your pants, fly by the seat of my pants kind of girl. Not yours. I don't want anything to do with your pants. Okay. That's my cue. It's time to go. I really did have a good time. And if you're watching the replay, I hope you enjoy it. And that's it. I love you guys. Okay. Talk to you later. Bye.